Hey there, Food Wishers. Welcome to another live chat Sunday. We're coming to you from Kismet today in the wilds of Sonoma County. In fact, you can tell I'm in the country here. Got the Carhartt on. Not doing an advertisement. Just trying to prove, country I am. Anyway, welcome aboard. Hope you're all doing well. Hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, we are not going to have any of that dreaded buffering because I actually got an Ethernet wire cable. Is it a cable or wire? See, that's how much I know about this. But anyway, apparently that will help the buffering. I'm not using the Wi-Fi. I'm actually plugged right into directly into the internet. And if you're not a tech person, I believe an Ethernet is just a network of how they connect ethers, is my understanding. Also, after the last live chat we did from Kismet, I was in the messy workshop and I was joking around about all the paint cans and the crap in the background. And someone said you should use a blue screen. So I said, that's a good idea. I think there's an old blue screen out in the carport from some of the older stuff we moved out of the house. So anyway, there's the blue screen. I hope that's better. And I assume that's what they meant. But anyway, a couple technical improvements. The bad news is I will not be technically improved. I will still ramble and struggle as usual. Before we get to the questions, a couple quick stories and anecdotes. I don't know if we have any gardeners and or detectives in the audience. And some of you may have seen this on Twitter, and I think I might have also posted it on YouTube, but I don't remember. We chose a couple plants a while back for the front yard. And we were very careful with our choices because we have a ton of deer and other things. But deer apparently eat anything and everything. So we didn't want to waste money buying plants that were going to get chomped up like a week later. So we bought a plant called lantana or lantana. I guess depends on what part of the state you're from. And apparently deer resistant, deer hate them, don't like the smell, hate the taste. Can't eat them, they're toxic, like all these reasons. Lantana, you cannot get a better deer-resistant plant than that. So we put it in the ground, and it lasted, 6 months, was growing nicely, was about 12 inches high, starting to spread out. And all of a sudden, one day I walk out, and it's gone. And not gone like, oh no, an animal ate it. Look, there's some leaves and trimmings. It was like vanished. No hole in the ground, no gopher holes, no tracks, no nothing, just vanished as in alien abduction. So total mystery. I posted on Twitter. You guys, predictably got no help. People just were making fun of me. And a couple of people said, deer may still take it, even though it's not good for them. They just can't help themselves. So 2 nights ago on the wildlife cam, yes, indeed, a giant buck, I think like an 8-point deer, big antlers, just a big boy, was seen sniffing in the exact same spot. So deer also returned to the scene of the crime, apparently. So that mystery's been solved. I know you were all, on the edge of your seat with that one. But apparently, if you're buying lantana plants and you have lots of deer, there's no guarantees. There's really no guarantees. So just throw that out there. Other than that, things are going well here. I finished the baseboards. Didn't cut myself even once. So the legs are almost recovered from the 7,000 times, bending up and down, squatting, crawling, kneeling. But it was very rewarding, and that I didn't have to pay someone to do it. So that was good. Also, I think I posted a video a couple weeks ago complaining that the vegetable beds had kind of petered out. We had just horrible heat waves and just fires and smoke and ash and just horrendous weather for any kind of growing thing. Including humans. And anyway, the heat broke and we got some water on the stuff, and I think things just returned to normal environmentally, atmospherically. And now the plants are kind of blowing up again. I'll have to do a video this week. Pepper flowers and tomatoes, just filled with green tomatoes to plant. So they got their second wind. Now, I don't know if we're going to run out of summer and sunlight before these things ripen. But anyway, that's the brief and official update from Kismet. Now we're going to get into the chat, get into some questions. We're going to welcome new members, very briefly, especially if you have an easy name like G for Peace. Welcome aboard. If you're not a member, go ahead and hit the join button. You get some updates from Kismet, some other things I can't mention. They're just so secretive. And, of course, you get to chime in on these live chats. So appreciate all the support and everyone who's done that. And, again, welcome aboard all the new members. If I don't get you personally, no offense. But G4 Peace got mentioned. They they are the first official Food Wisher to join this morning. And then hello to all the usual members. Grape Tomato Girl, you were the first one to join. Michael, Bridget. I'm going to get to your question, Bridget. That is fascinating. I will get there in a second. Welcome, Cook Skunk. New member, Cook Skunk. You're making me hungry, Cook Skunk. Hold on a second. My blue screen has to get adjusted. There we go. Old Man Muscle-White's in the chat. Hey, Jamie. You're looking good. All right. Ooh, just a whole bunch of things flew by. All right. Let's get right into the questions. Jackie Hoover, welcome aboard. Thank you so much. Okay. Anyway, we'll catch up with the new members. There's a lot of them. Thank you so much. Giovanna, Amy, good, easy names. Pop Icon, I like it. Cami Newton, I don't think that's your real name, but that's okay. John Mitsu, which is not my real name. It's Chef John. Anyway, Bridget had the first fascinating question of the day. Ms. Gallagher would like to know, do I put coffee in my spaghetti sauce? Now, first of all, I'll assume this is a legit, real question. I do not. Should I? And yes, I can know you do. I would like you to explain why you do. And does anyone else put coffee in their tomato sauce? Or does it have to just be spaghetti sauce? What if we're just going to put it on meatballs? So I need some clarification. And again, hello to everybody. Grape Tomato Girl has a food wish for a cranberry, raisin, or currant Garibaldi-style biscuit. Now, I had to do a quick Google search on that while we were waiting to come on the air here. And I think I know what that is, but I'm pretty sure I've never made one. And probably only have had one once, maybe at my grandmother's house, like a long time ago. Are these really like ancient, old school biscuits? And biscuits is in like British called cookies. So anyway, I'm going to search that. And that sounds like a decent food wish. All right, scrolling through, trying to find an interesting question. It shouldn't be long. Oh, Jim Dowell, talking about how terrible grocery store selections for oxtails are. I agree. They should be much more plentiful. By now, you think we would have genetically engineered cows to have 2 or 3 tails. Doesn't seem like it would be that hard. Isn't there just like a specific gene that determines how many tails you have? Where would you suggest it goes to a good supplier to get this kind of cut in the peninsula? Well, Jim, the only thing I can tell you, and this advice goes out to anyone looking for a cut of meat they can't find at a store, you don't have to settle for that. You can find a meat purveyor in your local area. If you have restaurants anywhere near you, there's a company that sells meats to these restaurants. Big truck rolls up and dumps off their steaks and chops. If you call them, they almost all will call orders, which means you pay cash, you call it in, a couple hours before you need it or the day before. You go in, you pick it up it's usually like a really cool loading dock. It looks really sketchy. They just hand it to you and you give them money or a check or however you want to pay, and they will sell you meat, even though you're not a professional account. Now, some don't. You have to open an account. And in that case, you didn't hear it from me, but you could easily be a freelance, independent, small catering contractor who's just getting started and wants to, buy some oxtails and try it out for the big cotillion coming up. So anyway, there's always workarounds for these things. But anyway, try a local meat purveyor, distributor that sells to the local restaurants. In fact, you could just call your favorite restaurant and, hey, where do you get your meat? Those people will be able to get you oxtails, most likely cheaper than you're going to get them at the store. Almost everything they sell will be, wholesale price, basically. Maybe they'll mark it up a little. But anyway, a little tip for buying meat. I've done that when we've had, we used to do catering a million years ago, and I would not go to the grocery store. I would just tell them I was a caterer, and they would sell it to me. Enrico would like to know, do you buy a nonstick pan that does not have nonstick after a few months? No, those are the cheap ones. If you buy a nonstick pan and after a few months the nonstick's coming off, then you got to bring it back and get your money back. If you mean, does the food start sticking after a couple months? I've seen those. I've experienced those. Those are just, again, cheaply made bad ones. My experience has been with the higher end nonstick pans, like the major name brands that you see, the top 5 brands on any of the, shopping sites. Those generally last a long time and are really good. In fact, I have I couldn't even tell you the name. I got a couple nonstick pans at a restaurant supply store like 15 years ago, and they're still going strong, or maybe 10 years ago. But they're still in good shape. I have not tried those magical copper pans as seen on TV. I have an actual French copper pan, stainless steel surface, copper, made around the outside. But I don't have any of the copper, the ones you're talking about that they do the infomercial, where for some reason they're always melting cheese on nothing, just frying it right in the pan. Who does that? Anyway, nonstick pans, buy the top name brands, pay the extra $20, and those usually last a really long time. By the way, am I buffering? Does it seem faster? Do I seem faster? I guess it's not faster, it's just more stable. I shouldn't even get into these conversations. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Great Tomatoes is giggling at my understanding of blue screen. So I don't know why you're giggling. Old Man Musclewhite has a green screen he could send me. I think this is fine. I'm good. Yes, oh dear. All the oh dear jokes have been done on Twitter a couple days ago, but it's a good try anyway. Welcome aboard, Giovanna. Already said that. And we have a Van Pelt, used to be one of my favorite New York Giant football players. Which reminds me, and this is a little sad to say, but it's only right I'm announcing it right now in front of you folks. I'm thinking of quitting. And I've been thinking about it a long time. I really think I need to quit being a New York Giants fan. It's just too frustrating, too disappointing. Do I have to cheer for the Buffalo Bills? I don't know. I can't cheer for the 49ers. They've been arch enemies all these years. So anyway, just wanted to get that out there. I might have to quit the Giants. Although I say this every year, so I probably won't. But Victoria says deer won't eat ferns. I don't like ferns though. I don't want ferns. I want lantana. I want flowering, cool looking stuff. But she also gave a few other suggestions. Thank you, azaleas, boxwood, butterfly bush. We do have. So we might have to just go with all butterfly bushes. Those are beautiful, and I love the array of butterflies they bring. Hey, Amy, children of the cornland. Jim, welcome back. Drinking your double chicken tea. Do any of you make the double chicken tea on a regular basis? I think that is a great recipe if you haven't tried it, especially this time of year. It's going to start getting chilly. Jay, welcome. Jackie puts white wine in her marinara. I always like to put a little splash of something in my sauces. It doesn't always have to be the same. Sometimes it's white, sometimes it's red, a little rosé maybe. You got a little splash extra. I heard my good friend who I've never met, Alton Brown, mention one day that there's a compound in tomato, flavor thing, that is only brought out by alcohol. So apparently, anytime you make a sauce with tomato, if you can somehow get a little bit of alcohol in there, it improves the flavor, which I guess makes sense in why vodka sauces taste really good and why people like vodka sauces, even though vodka technically doesn't really have a flavor. So that's interesting. Have we gotten a explanation on the coffee in the sauce? Why is it done? Is it just for acid? Coffee's not that acidic, is it? Oh well, we'll figure it out. Old man Muscle keeps asking about the flapper pie, which is on brand since flappers were, I think, back in the 30s maybe 40s. I don't know when were flappers a thing. Jamie, we might get to it. We might not. I might have to call it something different to get views, like American creamy custard meringue pie or something. But anyway, hang tight. I know you're not getting any younger, but we'll get to it eventually. Welcome, Christina. Grape Tomato Girl, do not call yourself ancient, but she grew up eating them. People like Jim Dowell's, apparently his picture. I can't see it. I can't see anything. I can barely make out the words to the right here. Jim likes sketchy options. Hey, we all like sketchy options. Yes, ham bone, any kind of bones. Bones, call that purveyor. You can't buy good bones in the grocery store. They don't know what to do with them. They package them. They charge like $10 a pound for bones. It's insane. Shar got a big chunk of hen of the woods mushrooms. Love hen of the woods mushrooms. One of my favorite dishes of the last few years, a chef in San Francisco. I'm trying to remember which one. Michael Minna, I'm going to say. I think that's it. One of his restaurants, he took hen of the woods mushrooms, which looks like a coxcomb. It has these really cool, like little tongues of mushroom, and they're like attached to a center stem, and then they look like this. Like, I can't do it, but they're kind of like this. And you pull them apart, and then he dusted them, I think, I'm going to guess, with like a rice flour maybe, and then a super, super light tempura-ish batter. And then those were deep fried very well, like probably rice bran oil. If you ever can get a hold of some rice bran oil, that is like one of the ultimate deep fry oils. And he fried those mushrooms and then served it with an aioli, and it was one of the greatest things I've ever tasted. So if you could somehow tempura, batter, and deep fry your hen of the woods mushrooms, I think that would be a wonderful thing. Jim saying he loves his all-clad stickers. Yeah, I don't want to give any specific brands, but I would concur. I'm as fast as lightning. Thanks, Omar. Michelle is in another room, and I have to have this door closed. She's doing a little work in the house. So unfortunately, the one drawback with the Kismet Studio, with the new and improved blue screen, is we cannot hear Michelle laugh at my ridiculous comments. But once the workshop's done and we're going to open things up here, you'll see. We're going to have laughter again. So trust me, she's laughing somewhere. You just can't hear her. I might have to get one of those laugh tracks, like on the old sitcoms, and we'll just run that. Maybe she'll come in later and we'll just have her laugh just for no apparent reason. Spacehead says I could hook up my studio condenser mic to the laptop for the stream. Oh, so the audio is better. See, I give you better video. Now they want better audio. See, I knew this was going to happen. Next, I'll have to look more presentable and have actual information to give. So, see, this is a slippery slope. I should have not improved anything. But anyway, we'll try to get a better sound too. I didn't know a studio condenser mic was even what I used, so that's interesting. So you learn stuff in all these chats. I actually learn new things. Pop Icon's getting some fresh goat meat. Yes, you should make a stew with the goat meat. Maybe like a Caribbean. They do some great things with goat in the Caribbean. I always think goat, I don't know, just because I've had it, Latin America type recipes. There's a Mexican restaurant in San Francisco, Mexican Salvadorian food, and they had like an incredible goat stew they do on the weekends. Anyway, I'm gonna say do a stew. Probably a little, a little basic, but I always think of any recipe that works for lamb, like a lamb stew, that will work for a goat meat. So check it out. Enrico, hey chef, why use a bay leaf? What is it supposed to contribute to taste or flavor? Well, it does contribute to flavor. It gives a little bit of an aromatic. I wouldn't say resinous is the right term. It's not really floral. It's, I guess, just herbaceous. Although that's not my favorite word. I always imagine like a really pretentious chef on TV talking about herbaceous, and then they'll always use the word flavor profile. But anyway, it's hard to explain why ingredients are used. The best experiment would be to make just get some chicken broth. Your favorite chicken stock broth, homemade would be better. Heat up a cup or 2 cups. Let's make it 2 cups in a saucepan, and then taste them. Put some in a teacup. That'll be your control version. Take a couple sips on it. Then put a bay leaf in the rest of the chicken stock, chicken broth. Let it simmer for about 30 minutes, and then you sip that, and you will have your answer as to what flavor a bay leaf adds to something. Now, then you'll have to extrapolate that across, whatever you're doing, whether it's a sauce or a stew or I made a fake curry not too long ago, like a coconut milk Thai-ish style curry, and I threw 2 or 3 bay leaves in, and that's just because when I get it at the restaurant, that's what they do. And it was really good. So it's hard to explain what things do in things unless you taste it with and without and then answer your own question. But anyway, bay leaf does add things. Otherwise, we wouldn't put it in there. We're just not trying to use bay leaves. It's not like bay leaves are like, hey, we got a lot of bay leaves around. Can you use some? There always is a purpose for those things. And I think they add tannins, if I'm not mistaken. Dried leaves add tannins, which I forget why that's a thing. But maybe the tannins do stuff to other things, which then in turn do things to other stuff. I hope I'm not getting too technical, but that's my theory. Bridget says maybe spray with plants with nicotine. I guess that deters the deer and animals. I am at the moment fresh out of liquid nicotine. Is that something you can buy in a spray form? Sounds highly illegal. But I'm up for any ideas. So there's no bad ideas here. There's just regular ideas and ideas I can make, smart ass comments after. So thank you, Bridget. I will research that. Tammy is new to pie crust making. Welcome. It's an exciting new world once you start. Jushi's recipe from your key lime pie with my mom, Pauline. Bless Pauline. Rest in peace. It was great. I'm afraid I will overknead it, though. Any advice on preventing that? Yes. It's easier just to not care if you overmix it. That takes the fear away. Get over your fear of failure in the kitchen. If you don't care what it comes out like, you usually comes out better. And if it doesn't, you don't get upset. So no one says you have to have the world's greatest, flakiest, most tender pie crust when you just start making pies. That's ridiculous. That'd actually be disrespectful to real pie makers that you just nail it when you first start. So you're totally normal. You will overknead some. By the way, you don't need pie dough. Bring it together, wad it up into a ball, wrap it in the plastic, let it chill for a few hours, and then roll it out. So let me stop you right at the kneading point. Once you start kneading pie dough, just catch yourself before you wreck your pie dough. So, but above and beyond that, just relax. And I think if I'm reading your comment correctly, it came out great. So what's the problem? Don't be afraid. No fear. A pie can sense fear. So be careful. Hey, James. People are really enjoying the Ethernet. So thank you very much. And I think the blue screen is adding a lot. I'm not sure. I didn't have a problem with all the paint cans in the background, but I guess this does look professional. And then soon maybe I'll put like a little whiteboard or something here, and I'll write a catchy, like provocative statement. I've seen that on TV lately. Or maybe I'll get a fake bookcase and ship one of those model ships. People seem to like those in the background these days too. Cook Skunk, new member Cook Skunk has a question, I think. We'll see how he does. Heard about seasoning stainless steel roasting pans. Put them in the oven, get them hot, wipe them with oil, pop them back in, and things won't stick. Doesn't work. I mean, it does, but all the major brands of decent roasting pans should be ready to use. And I always worry about the high temp. Some of the brands, they actually will sort of just, the pan bends a little. It just gets a little weird. So be careful with that. But if you want to try it, it's your pan. In general, when we use stainless steel, roasting pans, frying pans, we want some stuff to stick. That's called the fond, as you know. That builds the foundation of the sauce. So if you don't want any sticking, you use nonstick. But things roasting to the bottom of a roasting pan are what makes roasting pans so great. All right, that's the good stuff. In fact, I might be, don't quote me on this, appearing on a podcast with a local San Francisco radio show coming up in a few weeks or a month or whatever. And I think the topic is pan sauces. And I'm going to be touching on that in that during that event. Every time you watch a commercial where they're selling like dishwashing liquid, soap, you'll see the person in the sink scrubbing that stuff off the bottom of the pan. Always painful to watch. They're washing a sauce down the drain. While they're complaining, it's hard to clean up. That makes no sense. So anyway, you can try to make your stainless steel roasting pans nonstick if you want. I don't want them nonstick. I want them stick. Okay, I prefer my pans stick if they're stainless steel. Yes, Tedin ATL. Julia Child added dry vermouth to just about everything. Yes, she did, including herself. I actually saw that. So yes, a little bit of splash of booze in food is almost never a bad idea. A little bit. Don't go overboard. Giovanna, any recipes for green enchilada tortilla soup? It's cold today. I don't have one, but that's a great idea for a fall/winter soup. I'm going to have to add that to the list. Steak Diane, yes, if Bourdain said it, believe it. That's probably a good way to go. Casey Bolin, what is the first album you remember buying? That's easy. Boston's initial album, premiere album, first album. Boston, was it? Did it even have a name? I think it was just called Boston. That was my first album. I think possibly REO Speedwagon was my second or third album, or it was a Led Zeppelin album. I can't remember, but I believe that was the order. It was Boston, then REO Speedwagon, and then Led Zeppelin, I think. Bay City Rollers, I don't count that album. I bought that, I think, with my sister. We bought that together. So we're not going to go back to that time and try to analyze what was happening then. But I remember being a sort of quasi Bay City Rollers fan. Saturday night, remember that song? We used to skate to that song on the all-night skates. And I know it's hard to believe I'm only 57. Anyway, that's a good question. Thanks, Casey. Bridget, I was told if you put coffee in spaghetti sauce, it gives it a richer, deeper taste. There's only one way to find out. I'm going to have to try to put some coffee in tomato sauce. It sounds crazy, I have to say. As anyone else, I can't literally read every comment. Well, I could, but in real time, it's hard. But has anyone actually verified that that's a thing? Has anyone else done that? Alexandra Dumbass, thank you for the $4.99. Let me get to your question here. I have a dairy allergy. Butter is the hardest thing to replace. It just turns recipe oily. Any tips? Yes, I'm confused about butter and dairy allergies. Butter is the fat from the milk. It doesn't, as far as I know, have any significant amount of lactose. which I think is what dairy allergies are caused by. Please educate me if I'm just completely off base here. But does butter really also bother people with dairy allergies? I guess if it's severe, that trace amount would. But it's been my understanding that if you use butter or clarify it, especially, melt it and just use the oily part, that is not going to affect your dairy allergy. So someone clue me in. No, margarine I'm not a fan of margarine, as anyone who's seen my videos knows. I think it's not good. And I always replace margarine if I see it in a recipe with butter or lard or something edible. All right, moving on. Russell has explained to someone that flapper pie is a Canadian prairie thing. Yeah, it's strange that Canadian prairie recipes aren't more popular in the United States. I wonder why that is. But anyway, Alexandra Dumbass, I don't know if that was a good answer to your question, but maybe reevaluate if you can eat butter or not. Bridget says a teaspoon of dry instant coffee works every time. You should try it, people. You would love it. Gives a richer, deeper. Okay, we're going to try it. I'm convinced. Bridget has hacked tomato sauce, and we're going to do that. I have some instant coffee, actually. I was going to make that. What's that? Coffee where you whip the instant coffee with some water and it gets all frothy and foamy. There's a name for it. Someone tell me. And it looks like almost like a caramel sort of whipped topping, and then you pour coffee with it, and it's an iced coffee, but it's frothy. It's like a dessert, but not really. Anyway, someone's going to let me know what that's called. But that's why I think I bought some instant coffee to test that with. Kaylee, what do you call a deer with no eye? I'm afraid to ask. No idea. That was bad. All right, I like it. No idea. I will use that too many times, trust me. Oh yeah, I'm being told what people meant by the blue screen is an actual solid screen that you put like a background. Well, way ahead of you. This is actually a blue screen of this Japanese screen. This is not even real. This is just a blue screen. So I knew that. Patricia Murphy just survived surgery, though dealing with a few complications. Sorry to hear that. Hope you're doing better. But the feta cheese, tomato, olive oil survived the freezer and tasted really good after getting home from the hospital. Everything tastes good when you get home from the hospital. Don't want to, rain on your parade, but, you name it would taste good. A Hot Pocket is like the best thing you've ever eaten if you get home from the hospital. So first thing, stay out of the hospital. Don't go back if you can avoid it. And yes, things freeze surprisingly well. I don't do a lot of freezing, but almost anytime someone says, can I freeze XYZ? I always say, yes, go for it. It's probably going to be fine. Potatoes, one of the exceptions. Don't freeze potatoes. It does weird things to them. But anyway, I'm glad your food survived, as did you. And hope you're coming back stronger than ever. Melody, does anyone remember laughter? I do. Sometimes I just sit and laugh by myself with Michelle. Katie Lynch, are you familiar with lion's mane mushrooms? Yes. Those are those furry ones. They look like cauliflower. Mushrooms is mushrooms. They're all moon fruit. They're the only thing we eat that's ruled by the moon, not the sun, not to get too mystical on you. But that's why they're magical and prevent pretty much every disease. And I'm not one of these health nuts that tells you to eat things because it prevents disease. But I am 100% convinced mushrooms, onions, garlic, herbs all do like just insane things in your body to prevent disease. So eat mushrooms. Even if you don't like mushrooms, don't be selfish. Cook them for your family. And you can just pick them out. And if you were raised and you didn't like mushrooms because they were those like wet little slimy things your parents used to get on pizza, try them again. Saute them. Make our veggie burger made with mushrooms. You'll love it. You'll be a mushroom person. So Katie, yeah, lion's head mushrooms, just cut them up, fry them up. Any way you'd use mushrooms, roast them. You can't go wrong. Hey, Zebra, thank you for the question. What are a few of your go-to dishes to feed like 15, 25 people at a party? I always do a shrimp boil, like to get more diverse. Well, casseroles are generally, if I'm serving a big group of people, lasagnas, baked ziti's, you know, that kind of thing. I think it always is a perfect thing to do. A couple meatloaves; those are always easy to make up ahead of time and then bake when you need them. So yeah, that's a tough one. The cheater version of the baked risotto would be something that would be nice. Big roast always will go a long way because you're just cooking one hunk of something, like a big old top round of beef, and then you slice it and do that. Pork loins are easy and nice for groups. A big pork loin will serve, about 8 people. So you get 3 or 4 of those, a couple roasting pans, and those are nice for groups. So anyway, hard to answer that one, but in general, casseroles are a nice, affordable way to feed a lot of people because you can make it ahead in those big foil pans, and then you bake it off, and you eat. Jim Dowell says I think they make collared Carhartt shirts. Haha, just kidding. Well, first of all, Jim, you're not kidding. I think you're saying I'm underdressed, which I take as a compliment. And the reason I got into this kind of work is I don't want to wear a collared shirt. All right, no collared shirts, no cubicles, no what are those TSP reports from Office Space, TRS, TPS? Not sure, but I don't want to do those either. So it all starts with a collared shirt. Once you're in a collared shirt, unless you're on a golf course and they're like, you can't play without a collared shirt, then I'll put one on. But no, I'm fine. I'm fine like this. Don't judge me. Jonathan says, whenever I make beef stroganoff, I always throw a bay leaf in it to this. I always throw a bay leaf into the simmering pot. It just adds a little extra, which some people refer to as a little something something. But same thing. I know what you're saying. And yes, that's the answer I have to give people. It adds something. I can't describe what, but something. Put it in. It will add something. If it's not in there, it will lack something. Very generic terms, but that's what happens when you cook. Patricia, what kind of pan did you use for the baked chicken parm dip? I don't have a full-size oven. I have no idea. I'll have to go back and look at that. But as long as it's oven safe and it will fit in your oven, you use any pan you want. So actually go find a pan that fits your oven and then make the dip according to that. That would be my advice. Spacehead says instead of nicotine, some tobacco vape juice and dilute it. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing liquid nicotine or trying to hack into a tobacco vape pipe to get juice and then dilute it. I'd rather have the deer eat my plants, to be quite honest. But anyway, I always appreciate the ideas, even ones like that. Still appreciated. Abner Strauss. Wife grew up in Orthodox. After 50 years of marriage, she's given me the go-ahead on a pork shoulder. Well, first of all, after 50 years, that's what you got the go-ahead on? Pork shoulder? Come on. We gotta have a chat about negotiating. I think you could have held out. I'm going to be honest. But we're staying in the present. You got the go-ahead on the pork shoulder. This might be my one and only shot. Are we talking about pork shoulder? Anyway, if we're talking about pork shoulder, what do I suggest? I would have to say if I only could cook one pork shoulder to make one recipe, it would have to be some kind of carnitas type thing. So you cut it in big chunks, slowly roast it till they're just fork tender. You let it cool, and then you take the reserve fat and you fry the chunks until they're crispy and crackling and moist inside and crunchy on the outside. And then you make tacos or just whatever you want to do with it. Burritos, eat it on rice and beans. Yes, people are already make carnitas. So that would be my one and only. If you are talking about pork shoulder, I almost hope it's a euphemism. But if you are talking about after 50 years of marriage, you got permission to make a pork shoulder, I would do carnitas. I think that's a really good way to go. And we have like 3 or 4 carnitas type recipes. You could find something that looks nice. You don't have to do a lot with pork shoulder. All that fat is so flavorful. It's hard to break a pork shoulder. They're really nice. As long as you cook it long enough, you're going to love it. Sue has some beautiful butterflied Frenched pork chops to use up. Could I use them to make your pork ossobuco? No, you cannot. I would definitely do in the Milanese style that you mentioned there later. You don't want to braise, long, slow cook like ossobuco a pork chop. It's too lean. Doesn't have enough fat, and it will just get dry and not to mention disappointing. So don't do any long, slow braises with pork chops. Do a quick cooked version. So yeah, you can leave it on the bone, pound it out, bread it, fry it in a pan, and make a nice chopped salad to put on top. It's one of my favorite ways to serve a Milanese. So you got your crunchy, hot, crispy medallions of meat or flattened chop of meat. And then you take some, I don't know, radicchio, endive, Belgian endive, just slice it thin so you have these like ribbons of this bitter greens. And then you do some shaved Parmesan and maybe some fennel, some roasted peppers. You know what I'm talking about here. You do a really colorful, vibrant, crunchy, bittersweet salad to go on your crispy Milanese cutlet, whatever you're cooking. That is one of my favorite combinations of all time. So, but the main point is don't braise a pork chop, unless you're doing one of those old school Southern recipes where you braise the pork chops, but they do it for like a day and a half and everything just falls apart. Those can be okay, but basically the moisture from the sauce and the other stuff is fooling you into thinking the pork is tender and moist, but it's not. How do I keep my Silpat so clean? I don't. They always get browned and stained. That's just what Silpats do. I do run mine through the dishwasher. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. But the easiest way to keep them clean is just get new ones. So you just you buy them every once in a while is the way you keep them clean. Yeah, Jim, they always feel a little greasy to the touch, but I think that's normal. That's the silicone. But yeah, they do get I think a fine layer of fat like permanently embedded. The dishwasher might help. A couple hours in a dishwasher will remove as much of that as you can. Jonathan, yes, I have heard about using cayenne powder for the deer repellents, but I don't know if I can waste good cayenne on a mammal that's not me or my dinner guests. I know, bottled water. Don't. If you can avoid it, don't buy bottled water. Use some nice tap water. We had these left over. We had some when we had some work done over here, so I'm drinking them up. I felt like I had to explain that. 2020, I would get letters. Why aren't you drinking tap water? Why do you hate the earth so much? So I thought I would mention that. Jean Jew or Jean Joe, Joo. However you pronounce that, Jean. She saw lomo salado on a menu recently, but was disappointed. It was made with actual potatoes rather than French fries. Oh my God, what a travesty. I agree. It has to be French fries. And ideally crinkle cut from the supermarket. But anyway, I can see your disappointment. I would eat it anyway, though. Meat, potatoes, peppers, tomatoes. I'm good to go. Okay, let's keep moving. The Rindy, 84, made a cake for a 5-year-old. The end result looked absolutely horrific. Thankfully, 5-year-old only needs sugar for it to be sufficient. Yes, I was just about to say, whenever you're going to bake and you don't care about the comments, make your audience a bunch of 5-year-olds, and you will always be a star. I don't know, I'm one of the world's worst cake decorators. You have to, again, really care about how things look. to let that bother you. That's why I like the cakes that are covered in crushed nuts or coconut. Then you don't have to worry about how you frost it. So for future reference, just coat it with something. But yeah, how you frost it. So for future reference, just coat it with something. But yeah, if the 5-year-old's happy, everybody's happy. Cayenne does not repel Chef John. It does not. Patricia made the State Fair lemonade. Even though I don't like lemonade, this recipe was absolutely delicious. It will be the only lemonade I'll be drinking. You're welcome, Patricia. It was one of my favorite lemonade recipes I've ever had also, and it's the official Food Wish lemonade recipe. So if you haven't made the recipe for lemonade, State Fair version, go make it. I don't care if it's the middle of winter, never a bad time to make lemonade. You can practice, and then by next summer, you'll have it down. Oh, bear fuzz. Yes, I guess people are allergic to the casein. Yeah, no, don't kill anyone. Don't have them eating butter on my account, and then you're at the emergency room. I was just curious. I know a lot of people that are lactose intolerant and describe that as a dairy allergy. They also don't eat butter, and they probably could. That's all I meant. Cook Skunk, can we do a video for keto cake, almond flour? We did an almond flour bread. I think you should go check it out. It wasn't necessarily a cake. We've done, if you Google Food Wishes and almond flour, you'll see the recipes that come up. We've done a few. Our almond pancakes are really good, and those are done with almond flour. And that could certainly be baked in a cake tin. It'd be a very similar experience. So, yeah, that will work. Dalgona, thank you, Steak Dan, formerly Yo Y331. That's what I was thinking of. That's the whipped instant coffee, whipped up into a frothy foam, and then made into an iced coffee. That's what I was trying to remember. Jamie, yes, Michelle is laughing. We just can't hear her. Thank you. Jason tried the banana pancakes. Daughter loves them. Very good. What about you? Did you like them? I assume you did too. Yeah, people are telling me don't tell people to eat butter. It might kill them. All right, I'll stop doing that. Zoe. Kyle. I'm going to go with Zoe Kyle. How do you caramelize sugar without burning it? Hey, is this a trick question? Caramelized that literally means like burning it. So you cannot caramelize sugar without burning it. That's why we caramelize it, to burn it slightly so that we convert it into caramel. And then we make sauces, or we make creme brulees, or we make whatever. So if you mean how do you make caramelized sugar without going too far, I can answer that. Use a lower temperature heat and just go slower. That's all. And when you get that first wisp or two of smoke, that's not burning. Don't be scared. It's not burning. That is just that. Well, it is burning, but it's not burning beyond recognition. If the whole thing turns like a black brown, maybe you went too far. But it's really hard to go too far unless you just have too high a heat and you're just like completely oblivious and spacing out. So don't be afraid. Watch any of our videos where we caramelize sugar. I don't remember off the top of my head, but the obvious ones, creme caramel, etc. Excuse me. You'll see how we do it, and you'll see a little wisp or two of smoke coming up from the pot or the saucepan. Totally normal. Do not let it make you afraid. Just never, ever dip your finger in to taste it. You will lose a fingertip, literally. And then you also want to know if I will do an Albanian dish. Yes, I would. What is a good suggestion? I don't know off the top of my head if I know, like, what is the signature Albanian dish? Like, you go to an Albanian's house and they want to show you, like, the finest of their cuisine. What are they doing? What am I eating? Please tell me. Yes, Grape Tomato Girl. Jim Gaffigan's Hot Pocket shtick routine is a classic. I do enjoy that. Chris, 93. Yes, turmeric does cure everything also. All these herbs and spices and like, I don't know, hard to find and produce foods tend to be good for you. I think that was the universe like setting up the game where the most creative, adventurous, brave people would like have more kids. I think that's the theory of evolution. So it makes sense that things like that would be good for us. The easy foods, maybe not so much. So something to think about. Joe, thank you. Yes, beautiful backdrop. It's not real. Again, this is just a blue screen of a blue screen. But I'm glad people are enjoying it. Yes, living the dream, no collar shirt. That's me. Cara, signature fall dish that's not pumpkin or apple. I don't have one. All right, moving along. Tuscan fish stew today, Jim Dowell's making. Can't use shrimp. Got some great cod, cherry tomatoes. You're good. Like it. Russell uses bay leaf in the turkey brine. Sounds good. Did I say brined? Brine. Carnitas in a Cuban sandwich is amazing. That sounds amazing. Nahu. Did I say your name right? Feel free to spell your names out phonetically. I hate misspelling or mispronouncing names because my name is Mitzowich. And growing up, it was pronounced 1,000 different ways, none of which were Mitzowich. So I can relate. Jim wants to know if we are growing fruit. Yes, but not on purpose. All the fruit trees were already here. But we have pears, we have plums, we have persimmons, we have wild plums, we have wild blackberries that are the scourge of the earth around here. So we keep those at bay. In fact, we're keeping blackberries at bay behind our bay tree. We have a bay tree, although it's a California bay laurel, not good for cooking, by the way. So speaking of bay leaves, only ever use Turkish Mediterranean bay leaves. Never buy a California bay laurel bay plant thinking you're getting bay. You're not. Don't do it. Huge mistake. Angie, good herbs that grow indoors are pretty much all the same ones that grow outdoors if you have a sunny windowsill. Parsley, super easy. Basil, thyme, all the ones we use the most generally do pretty good in a windowsill. So try it out. You can do it. Oh, Zoe is trying to make salty caramel popcorn. Caramel. I can't say caramel, right? I grew up saying caramel. Caramel. 2 syllables. Caramel. Yeah, you have to just practice them. People are too afraid when they cook in general, especially when they do caramels and things that are like dangerous to make. So, Noe. Okay, Naui. Naui like Maui, but with an N. All right, thank you for that. People are telling me how to pronounce their names in real time. Oh, and by the way, I might have mentioned this on the members space on the community page on YouTube. We did this incredible severe pruning of our persimmon tree last year after it fruited, thinking that it would, because all plants apparently, all fruit trees like to be pruned and thinned out basically so they can really explode the fruit and concentrate on new growth. So we did that. And we were all excited because last year's crop was amazing, just a tremendous amount of persimmons. In fact, I filmed some dried persimmon footage with some of the persimmons. And then this year I was going to show picking the new ones and doing the first part of the process. Unfortunately, our persimmon tree did not flower this year. And we just realized that, like, duh, we should have known this in the spring. So no persimmons. Apparently we over pruned and we did it maybe a little too late. So it did not have that oomph to get the flowering going. Apparently next year, and sometimes I guess fruit trees like take a year off, but apparently next year we're going to get like the world's biggest harvest of persimmons. Having said that, the other day I was walking around and I looked up and there is exactly one persimmon on the tree. One flower was like, screw it, I'm flowering. I'm not with you guys. I'm not taking the year off. I'm gonna come through for Chef John. So we have one persimmon. It's like 20 feet up, but I'm gonna get that one persimmon, and I'm gonna try to make a single Japanese style dried persimmon. That the name is escaping me now, but someone, of course, will chime in. It's a really cool name. It's like a 5,000-year-old process to dry persimmons. Maybe not that long. Let's say 2,000. And but anyway, disappointing. We thought we were doing something good, pruning the persimmon tree severely, and persimmon tree was like, thanks, but we're taking the year off. What are you going to do? Oh my God, we only have 4 minutes left. Anyway, if you have a last second question, please chime in. Thank you so much to everybody that joined, all the new members. I probably missed most of your names, but I was really concentrating on the questions today. Thanks, Kevin. Excuse me. Hugh Moore, welcome aboard. Zebra has a question. Oh, no, I already answered that. Never mind. Sorry, Zebra. I thought you had another $5 question. I told you to make casseroles. I don't know if that was worth it. But anyway, that's all you get. Anyway, yes, if I missed your question, you got a few minutes to throw it in here, and I'll try. Chinmay Godbole, welcome aboard. Love the name. Thank you for joining, Stephanie. I was wondering when you were going to join. Thank you for joining. Everybody else who's already joined, thank you so much for the support. You're making the dream come true. It's going to be fall, and then it's going to be winter, and then we are really going to try to do some serious landscaping, get some new vegetable beds and bins and buckets and barrels, and we're going to try to have a much bigger garden next year, and maybe COVID will be over and people can see each other, and maybe we'll have a big like meet and greet vegetable eating party, like an aioli party at Kismet, and you all can come and we won't infect each other. It will be awesome. Although based on some of your profile pics, I may still ask you to wear a mask. So I reserve the right, not for safety, just for aesthetics. But someone's chiming in. The Japanese dried persimmon is called Hoshigaki. I have to be saying that wrong. There's no way there's a word pronounced Hoshigaki. Is there? All right, please phonetically spell it. Jim, the big green egg is not up here yet. We have to figure out how to get it up here. It's like 7,000 pounds. I don't know how we're going to move it. Yes, thank you, Steak Dam. We're excited for the garden too. Loved my take. Chinmay, loved my take on tikka masala. Please do more Indian food. Thank you. I thought it was awesome too. Appreciate it. I'm always very, what's the word? Not hesitant, but I'm always a little leery when I do the like really iconic ethnic dishes because people are going to compare it to their, mom, grandmother, favorite restaurant. But having said that, I was very proud of the tiki masala. All right, any last minute questions? Come on, we got 1 minute less. We got 45 seconds, and then I'm going to sign off. I appreciate everybody chiming in with the questions. Really good questions today. Danny, on my peach coleslaw, can pineapple work instead? Absolutely. Pineapple is probably the best coleslaw fruit. I think that's considered a fact in the culinary circles. Pineapple and cabbage, especially if you're doing like a creamy mayo-based dressing, I think is just absolutely perfect. Jim, 5-year-old just turned over on her own for the first time just now. Hey, I'll take credit for that. Start them young. Clearly a Chef John fan. You know, kids can sign up too. You have to pay for them. But she should be a member. Thanks, Grape Tomato Girl. Thanks, Carrie Blake, for joining. I hope nobody missed the buffering. It was a really, really smooth chat. Nothing went wrong. And hold on. All right. Nope. I'm fine. I'm fine. Everyone relax. There we go. There we go. Okay, like I was saying, really good chat today. No hiccups. Everything went perfectly normally, and there was no surprises at the end. So that's good. Have a great day. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Wear a mask. Stay distanced. Unless you're, intimate with someone, then get closer. Otherwise, like I said, have a great rest of the weekend. Thank you for joining in. We'll do this in a couple weeks. For all you members, stay tuned. We got some more funny videos and screen captures and other assorted fun from Kismet coming up. Stay well, and of course, as always, enjoy. All right, here I go. I'm going to hit the end stream button, and then I'll smile at the end. Hold on. Here we go. See, I always think that's the button, but that doesn't end it. You have to hit that button, and now I got to hit another button. So here we go. All right. Bye.